Hi and welcome to the Pro Wrestling Raw review. This week's Raw aired from Nashville on the 23rd of February 2015. Randy Orton opened the show and received a big cheer from the crowd for his return to Raw. Orton continued his storyline with Seth Rollins by calling Rollins out, and then the Authority came out and Stephanie tried to talk Orton into joining the Authority once again and staying with them, but he didn't really seem to be having any of it. And then as the Authority was leaving, he shouted them back and said that he would meet him in the back and he'd discuss business with them. It didn't really look genuine that Orton would actually change his opinion that much after waiting 4 months to get his hands on Seth Rollins, so you knew something was going to happen later on in the night, especially when a tag team match was announced between Seth Rollins and Randy Orton taking on Daniel Bryan and Roman Reigns. I just figured Orton's going to turn on Rollins at some point in this match, and it's just an excuse so he can get close enough to him to actually get his hands on him. It didn't really look like that was the case though, to be honest. I mean, during the match, he definitely seemed like he was playing in, sort of trying to lure Rollins into a false sense of security and making it act like he was on his team. But then Rollins tagged in while Randy Orton was in the corner about to deliver his DDT off the ropes, and he actually looked genuinely shocked and then started getting angry outside the ring, and I didn't really understand that bit because I thought, was he actually planning on staying with the Authority? Because it really didn't look like that was the case, and it didn't make any sense for that to be the case. But anyway, Orton delivers an RKO on Jamie Noble and then looks like he's going to go after Seth Rollins and then decides to pat him on the arm. So maybe this is just mind games leading into the match and they're just going to stretch this out for a couple of weeks before Orton finally gets his hands on Seth Rollins. Roman Reigns comes out to a good reaction. He talks about the Royal Rumble, WWE Fastlane, and all the obstacles he's had to overcome to face Brock Lesnar at WrestleMania. Reigns is then interrupted by Daniel Bryan's music. Bryan comes out and just basically puts Reigns over, says that he did not believe in him, but after his match and the heart that he shown at Fastlane, that he does, and he thinks it's his time to go on to WrestleMania to take on Brock Lesnar. This was just clearly to try and get some of the fans that are not liking Roman Reigns because of Daniel Bryan, by Daniel Bryan giving him his endorsement, hopefully letting them fans think it's okay to like both, especially after the build up to Fastlane where fans were maybe picking sides between Bryan and Reigns. This is just sort of saying that Bryan's is now okay with Reigns going to WrestleMania, so all Bryan's fans should be as well. It's just clearly a way of trying to get Reigns more over and try and not get as many mixed reactions from the crowd as what he's been getting. I like that Daniel Bryan came out and endorsed Roman Reigns because it actually means that they may be getting the Daniel Bryan character back on track, and it seems something that he would genuinely do as opposed to the stuff he's been doing in the last few weeks. Paul Heyman then came out as Daniel Bryan went to the back and spoke to Roman Reigns, and Heyman delivered a brilliant promo as expected. He talked about how Reigns would have beaten anyone, any of the classics, Bruno Sammartino, Hulk Hogan, Stone Cold Steve Austin, which was got quite a lot of boos, and also The Rock, which did not go over well either. And then they said John Cena, which the crowd didn't really seem to mind that one as much. But he said that the right guy to be at WrestleMania, you've just chose the wrong year to do it, because he's going to be facing Heyman's client, Brock Lesnar. Reigns replied to Heyman and tried to give a bit of comeback. He's still not brilliant on the microphone, so maybe they want to try and keep his talking to a minimal. It looked like maybe Paul Heyman had helped him with this promo to try and get him over, but he ended up getting some what chants during the promo, just the crowd maybe trying to throw him off. So that's definitely something he still needs to work on, especially if he's going to be pushed as the main guy after WrestleMania. We got another Bray Wyatt promo. There was still no Undertaker though showing up this week. Hopefully they won't leave it too long before we actually see him. Even if we see him next week and then we don't see him the week after, just so we know that the match is obviously happening, because they wouldn't be doing these promos if it wasn't, but just so we see that the Undertaker has accepted the match and actually does accept the challenge. We had one of the quickest Divas matches I've ever seen, and this was a tag team match with the Bella Twins taking on Paige and Emma. The entrances were actually quite a lot longer than the match itself. Brie and Emma started the match, and Brie hit Paige on the ropes because Paige was shouting at Nikki. And while Emma was distracted about Paige getting knocked off the ropes, Brie hit Emma with a finisher, and that was the match over, one move. So I'm not sure how the Divas are meant to get over with that length in a match, and they literally had time to do nothing, really. We seen Ziggler beat Wade Barrett. R-Truth was actually at ringside for this match. I'm not really sure why R-Truth was out there. He seemed to be campaigning for an Intercontinental title match, maybe heading into WrestleMania. I'm not really sure what that was for, because it's looking like it's going to be Ambrose and Barrett at WrestleMania, unless they're adding more people in to try and get more people on the card, and they end up making this like a ladder match and maybe adding a few people, or just make it a fatal four-way. Because not only was R-Truth trying to get a title match, but also when Ambrose did come out at the end of the match after Ziggler had pinned Barrett, Ziggler started leaning over looking at the title, which seemed to annoy Ambrose, and Ambrose walked past him and just walked into his shoulder before leaving the ring. So it seems like they're trying to get some sort of story going here, and it's unclear as to what they're actually trying to do yet. So hopefully we'll see how that progresses next week. Cena came out and said that he didn't give up, but that he lost at Fastlane. He was then interrupted by Rusev, who came out with Lana, and they said that Cena quit because he was unconscious. Cena didn't actually tap at the pay-per-view, but because the heels are playing up that he quit because he was unable to finish the match. I'm still enjoying this feud. I'm looking forward to Cena at WrestleMania. I think it's good that Cena's now not fighting just for himself. He feels like he's more fighting for America, and I think that's sort of the story they do want to tell leading into WrestleMania, because it's a little bit more interesting than just Cena versus Rusev. And it's the Rocky IV story, so who's not going to enjoy that? One question coming out of this show is, who's going to be Daniel Bryan's opponent at WrestleMania? I mean, it's looking like it's going to be Dolph Ziggler, who may possibly be going into a storyline for the Intercontinental title by the looks of things, or the returning Sheamus, who he's already faced quite a few times at WrestleMania already. I'm interested to see who he actually ends up starting a feud with. I hope they start it soon so we can actually get some build-up in time for the match at WrestleMania, so it doesn't just feel rushed and like a last-minute thing. I don't think it's going to be a high-up-the-card match, just even if it's Ziggler or Sheamus. I don't really see that being even the middle of the WrestleMania card. I'm guessing it could possibly be towards the opening of WrestleMania, which seems like quite a step down from where Daniel Bryan was last year, and even though he's still quite over with the crowd. So we'll just have to wait and see. Anyway, I'd love to hear what you thought of the show, so please let me know in the comments below. And until next time, thanks for listening.